Actress and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Go out there and try and create that good feeling that you're going to get a bounce and you're going to get lucky and you're going to find a way to make something happen. And that's my mindset tonight, is just to really buy into the system and go out there and support my teammates, but also have that feeling that you can make mistakes because you got four other guys that are playing really smart hockey behind you as well. So just going to go out there and have fun, nothing about too much. Like I said, the emotion hasn't really kicked in yet. I haven't really felt any nerves yet, but I'm sure I will tonight.
That's Jonathan Toews. He's in the lineup tonight. Jim Toth, as the Winnipeg Jets open their season.
Sorry, I got a
What are you laughing at?
I got a kick out of that. Yeah, you got to go. I hope you get a bounce. He's had a couple bounces in his career, eh? A couple things have gotten lucky for him.
Yeah, he's done a couple things, saw a couple stuff.
Had a couple drinks, saw a couple things.
That's it. That's the line.
George, I've only had 2 drinks, George. Easy, Leahy. You've had more than that. I just love that. A guy that has 3 Stanley Cups, an Olympic gold, a World Championships, a World Junior, first ballot Hall of Famer. You just got to get that good feeling, and hopefully you get a bounce.
Get a bounce here and there. Yeah.
Get lucky.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line and win a VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program. We're just coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. Bruce LeVine is going to be joining us. He's the Stars radio analyst right after 12:30. So we'll break down and take a closer look at the Stars. I'm very interested. Glenn Gulutzan, I don't know if he's pulling this from head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Mike O'Shea, but he's talking about 1%. That's his mantra this training camp for the Dallas Stars. 1% better, 1% better. So I want to talk to Bruce about that and how that's working out for the team. That on paper, as far as I'm concerned, and let's get into the Winnipeg Jets in a second. I just want to say this. On paper, the Stars have the best roster. I don't think it's close.
And I thought they were last year.
Yeah, they had the best roster.
The reason they worry me
on paper.
By the way, Glenn Gulutzan's from the Paw, Manitoba. I think he grew up in Saskatchewan, but great guy. University of Saskatchewan player. Played for the Wheat Kings too.
Well, would you look at that?
Yeah. Never saw the show, but played in the WCHL. But really good guy, and I'm happy he got this opportunity. But I do wonder why. Like he's a great assistant coach, and he's proven that over his career. And this is his second time in Dallas, but this time at the helm. Guys like this fascinate me, right? Because Scott Arniel's path is much similar to his. Now, he doesn't have a head coaching job like Scott Arniel got in Columbus, but very decorated assistant, and to this point where he gets the deal. So I'm interested to see how Glenn Gulutzan does. But this is why Dallas's loaded roster, and I agree with you on paper, is the best in the National Hockey League depth-wise. Especially, most people would say the Panthers, but with their injuries, not anymore. Mm-hmm. But the reason I worry about them is because they had predominantly the same roster added in Rantanen, so they're better. Take out Stankoven, so they're better than last year on paper. Yeah. But they didn't play well last year. Like, they did not play up to their roster. When you think of how Boston finished like with a record first overall a couple of seasons ago and then got upset in the first round and this is a team that should have done that. This is a team that on paper could have, and for whatever reason, there was a lot of things. And we used to have some Dallas, play-by-play people and analysts on last year. And even heading into the last month of the season, I think Josh joined us, and Josh, their play-by-play guy, was saying, they're just
Josh Bogorod.
Yeah, something's not in sync. Like they're loaded, and they have 2 power plays that could have a third. Like this is the second power play would be a lot of teams in the NHL's first, but something just wasn't in sync. So if it gets in sync this year, this is a roster. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to scare Jets fans and boo tonight's home opener. Anything can happen in a home opener. But if you're asking me to pick a team that could do what a couple of years ago Boston Bruins did, to me, it's this team.
Well, you're being realistic when you talk about the Dallas Stars. I mean, all you need to do is just look at their roster, look at the team. I mean, and it's a team that you need to be concerned about. Here is Arniel. on Gulutzan as well. You know what? I'll save that audio. We'll play that when we go into our conversation with Bruce LeVine at 12:30. So listen to that. We'll get to Arniel's thoughts on Gulutzan as well as the Stars. So Jets line rushes in the morning skate: Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Gabe Vilardi, Nyquist, Taves, Cheeberkoff, Niederreiter, Nemesnikov, Iafallo, Koepke, Barron, and Pearson. Morrissey, DeMello, Fleury, and Pionk, and then Stanley and Shen. Of course, Connor Hellebuck is going to be the starting netminder. Connor in a backup role. Parker Ford has made this team. Brad Lambert, for now, has made this team. And Colin Miller is the extra defenseman. Gustafsson, well, here's the decision on the roster. Right here from head coach of the Winnipeg Jets, Scott Arniel.
You have 24 on the roster now, and obviously
David Gustafsson is now on waivers as of.
Oh, so you're going to put Gustafsson on waivers. Yeah. So what's the thinking behind putting him on waivers versus one of the other
Well, we were just trying to figure out where we were going. Obviously, like we said, Dave, because of JT's, it was a different scenario, him not playing last year, so it's him and Lowry didn't have to be on that roster, that 23-man roster a couple of days ago. Just allowed us an extra day to figure out what we wanted to do. We've got 3 kids on the roster still, and Chibi's in tonight. We feel that they're part of our future, and we just feel like this is how we want to move forward. And don't ask me when and how they're all getting in, but we're going to try to find a way here. But we just feel that those 3 had real good camps, and David's been a great warrior for our organization. He's done, he's been so patient for us in the sense we didn't play for 5 days or 15 days. He came in and still gave us a chance every night and did what he had to do. Great work ethic and just a real good attitude. So we'll just see where it goes now that he's on waivers.
So David Gustafsson, I suspect, now I thought Ville Heinola was going to get picked up on waivers. He wasn't. I suspect that David Gustafsson, I mean, it's tough because, teams are right now, they have their opening night rosters set and they might not have space. And so there's more challenging than you say, hey, I'm going to grab David Gustafsson. It's different than if this was a midseason move. I don't think David Gustafsson would get through.
Well, here's why the Jets were smart about it. I think a week ago when Toronto claimed Sammy Blais and those guys, I think Toronto might take teams like that would look at this and go, where do we, I mean, I'm sorry. I watched that Oilers game last night. David Gustafsson would be an Edmonton Oiler right now. He would be very well on that fourth line in Edmonton. So I think they played it well to the point where teams have their rosters set as opposed to doing it prior. But this is a change in direction in my mind, Cam. And we talked about this because it led from the post-game show last Friday when Christian O'Mell, Kelly Moore, and John Shannon were discussing. John Shannon brought up, it's not Brad Lambert has to make this team. That's not what he's saying. But what are you doing with him? Because this organization needs to hold on to their draft picks once drafted and before, like grim death, because not a lot of people, we talked about it yesterday, players love staying here. Yeah. It's just they have a hard time getting players to come here.
Yeah.
But to me, like Lambert is waiver exempt. He could go down, and you could risk losing David Gustafsson.
So is Cheeberkoff. And Ford, too.
And
Parker
so
Ford
is Ford.
Yeah.
Any one of those players could go down, and they could not lose a roster player. But what did he say there? They had great camps. And when we started this training camp, I said, I don't think anybody can make this team. It's too locked and loaded and everything else, contract-wise, talent-wise, everything. But what I do think is somebody could lose their spot on the team. And what I meant by that was you could not perform up to par for what they want or what you have in the past, and then they'll look at somebody else. I thought Brad Lambert had a great camp. I still think the player I saw had the best camp out of anybody was Kobe Barlow. I thought he was phenomenal compared to a year ago when I saw him at camp.
Yeah.
But this is a little different change to the point of what John was making on the postgame show last Friday on. I'm not saying you have to keep these guys, and I understand how it would, but at some point you have to make room for them. And you and I talked about it this week. Say Gus Nyquist has 57 points this year. That's worked out. You're re-signing him. You are, right?
Yeah.
It's real easy if he gets 13 points in 78 games to go, we're moving on, we're putting Brad Lambert there. But if he has 50 to 60 points, you're re-signing him at that age. You're locked and loaded and ready to go. But John's point was you have to kind of, find a place for these guys. That's what good organizations do. When you're at this point, they don't just draft well and bring them and retain them. They ship talent out to bring other talent in.
So do you believe that, okay, Cheeberkoff, he's the guy right now for these next 2 games? No, hold on a second. But do you think that they're going to have Lambert come in and say, okay, Cheeb, you got these first three. We're going to move Lambert in and see how things go.
I think, I don't know if they've had that conversation, but I think that with the players, but I think that's their plan. I think Cheeberkoff gets today and Saturday, and it's like playoffs. You're in, but the minute you have a bad game, he's in. Mm-hmm. I think they're taking it like the playoffs do, and I just think it's a change of philosophy because the Jets, we know, send any one of those three down, and Gustafson's here, and you keep all your assets.
So what's with the change?
I think that to John Shannon's philosophy, you have to find you have to make some room for these guys.
You feel like sending them back to the Moose is just not what's best for these guys right now. I think
the change of philosophy is Brad Lambert is going to be a Winnipeg Jet, and he's going to be one that plays for us.
Yeah.
But do we really want him have him just start playing when we need him? Or do you want to get him some games where he's learning the NHL and getting better to the point where if we start playoffs, he doesn't have 3 games under his belt. He has 28. And we don't have a problem putting him in the lineup if there's injury and stuff. Mm-hmm. You have to start making room for some guys. Now, I know some people on the radio are listening right now are going to scream at the radio and go, what about Heinola? Heinola's different, right, Cam?
Yeah.
Because I remember the second time he was sent down, and I went to the Moose, Iowa game the next day, and he looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Part of Ville Heinola's problem throughout his career here, and I don't think it's a problem the last 2 years or 3 years, but initially was, I'm pouting. That doesn't go over well. You are, like we talked with Murat, there's a lot of responsibility when a prospect doesn't pan out, but in this case, most of it relies on the player. I feel the same about Sami Niku. I feel the same about Nick Patan. You need to improve and get better and not pout and do stuff to get better. But I think the philosophy's changed in that, David, we know what you are, and we're pretty deep down below. Mm-hmm. They have Tanner Pearson, Cole Koepke, Morgan Barron. They're all David Gustafsons.
Yeah.
All of them. So I think they're going, let's get the kid. He said it. I don't think he's lying.
No,
they
he's
had
not.
really good camps, and David had a good camp, but David had the normal camp that David has, and these guys got better.
Here's the thing, and I think the Jets are maybe trying to correct an issue that was last year with the Manitoba Moose. The Manitoba Moose had a horrible year, and I think that affected the development of Brad Lambert. I mean, Cheeberkoff got injured as well. As you just mentioned, Jaeger Barlow. I mean, they surrounded those guys with a lot of solid AHL veterans going into this season. Those guys are going to get the support that they need, hopefully, this year. I think the Moose have done a great job there. Lambert and Cheeberkoff and Ford, they need to be with the big club now.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, Phil Dillascheppi isn't here.
But they're going to get sent down. Like, Lambert's going to go with the Moose. When injuries and guys come back, these guys, unless they earn a spot.
Like, Phil Dillascheppi is down in the Moose.
Yeah.
He could have been kept as a veteran. He's not. I just think we need to start getting some of these guys acclimatized to the NHL and games because they had a great camp.
Call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Boston Pizza coming for lunch every weekday.
Great game day.
Get a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15, only at BP. The number one caller will be awarded a $50 gift card to Boston Pizza. Bruce LeVine, radio analyst for the Stars, is going to be joining us. But when we come back, Leafs and Habs, they duked it out yesterday.
Who cares?
And the Oilers signed a former Jets draft pick. We'll talk about that too.
At noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
So Edmonton signed forward former Jets draft pick Jack Roslovic to a 1-year, $1.5 million contract. But the Leafs also beat Montreal 5-2. Scoring 4 unanswered. Morgan Riley breaking the tie in the third. I'm not buying any stock from the Habs.
You're and people a big Montreal fan.
People are probably sick of me saying this. I don't care. I'm not high on this team. I don't think they're making the playoffs.
I'm not high on them either. I think they were lucky last year.
I think so too. I think it's going to be people are going to be surprised. I don't think they're a playoff team.
Also, Jack Roslovic, 526 games, signs in Edmonton, 45 playoff games. He's now 28 years old, sorry. Apparently, as Elliot Friedman said on last night's broadcast, talked to the Oilers around July 1st, didn't work out. Apparently, he talked to a number of teams and couldn't figure stuff out, and then now he's going there. I think it's a fit for them. I thought he played well last year, but what took so long?
Curious. Bruce LeVine with us, Stars radio analyst with us after this.
Played pretty well, obviously, coming out of Edmonton. Been there for a number of years, had great success there. He's the type of guy that I don't think we saw a few of their exhibition games, looked at some video. They're not changing a whole lot, but he's going to have his own little things that he's going to throw in there. Will we see them maybe a little bit of it tonight? But I think that he's just, as he kind of gets comfortable with his team, I'm sure that he'll put his mark on that group, and still is a veteran group. We know them. There's a lot of changes. Not a lot of changes. It's kind of interesting. Both captains are out of the lineup tonight, but still, it's we know them well and they know us real well.
Yeah, Jamie Benn dealing with a collapsed lung. Yeah, Adam Lowry there recovering, of course, continuing his recovery from off-season hip surgery. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program, which is coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pasta and pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. Yeah, Glenn Gulutzan getting his chance at the reins of this team, taking over for Pete DeBoer, who was let go following their exit in the Western Conference Final. Some questionable decisions that were certainly made there, and I think it led up to that decision being made. But Bruce LeVine, he is the Stars radio analyst, and he is with us right now. Hey, Bruce, how are you?
Doing well. How are you guys doing up in Manitoba?
Fantastic.
Good, Bruce. Thank you. Tell us what those little things are that Gulutzan will change. Tell us all about the Stars and how to beat them.
First of all, I think if Edmonton takes from Edmonton what they did and then gives it to you guys, I think the best way to beat the Stars is to score more goals than the Stars score. And that's what I get paid big bucks to make analysis like that.
Yeah, I'm very interested with Glenn Gulutzan.
You're not wrong. I'll tell you that.
You're absolutely right. I went back. I listened to a bunch of audio from practices and some post game shows and there was a constant mention of Glenn Gulutzan, this 1% better, right? Because Glenn has inherited a fantastic roster, a team chocked full of just grade A, I would even suggest elite hockey players in net, on defense, and at forward. Fantastic special teams, all that. I'm interested in this 1% better because I think that might be all that they need. What do you think about it, Bruce?
Yeah, the thing is, you look at why the Dallas Stars, it's hard to argue that with 3 straight Western Conference Finals that this team needs to get better, but the ultimate goal is to win the Stanley Cup. And you look at what Florida does and the way that they play good defense in the postseason, and they're physical. So what Glenn Gulutzan's talking about is you've got to be better in the defensive zone. You've got to have more control in front of the net. You've got to have more shots from the outside. You can't let people get inside for rebounds and the type of course, Connor McDavid, you got to be able to shut down the elite talent in the NHL. But he's also talking about being tougher to play against physically. The Dallas Stars are an incredibly talented team. But even you guys saw in the playoffs last year when Winnipeg played Dallas, that Winnipeg had the better part of the physical play. Mm-hmm. And you look at how Florida wins Stanley Cups. They're incredibly skilled, but boy, are they physically tough to play against. And what Glenn Gulutzan said in his opening press conference, and he continues to preach, is you just can't turn that physical presence on and off. You've got to be able to play physical and then carry it to the playoffs, take it to the next level. So when he talks about 1%, he's talking about every game. 1% being a little more physical, and then by the time you get to the playoffs, you're at 82%, and it doesn't take much to go from 82 to 100. That's what he's talking about, is those little things that make the difference between winning in playoffs and in the post and in the regular season. 2 different animals if you want to be the best.
And that's so fascinating because we sat here on the show all of last year, said this on paper is the best team in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
But yet at many times it didn't look like it, right? Like there was something out of sync and stuff. And I guess that's what he's sort of referencing. But physicality would definitely, and it brings you into the game, as we all know. Like if you start a little bit more physical, you get into it right away more. Bruce, I want to talk Jason Robertson. I'm such a big fan of his, but clearly not the seasons he's been wanting. What's to expect from him this year, and how's he approaching it?
Well, Jason Robertson last year started the season missing training camp, coming off off-season foot surgery, where he literally could not skate until the first week of training camp. And he got off to a slow start. He got off to a bad start. But if you look at what Jason Robertson did the second half of the season, he was probably the Dallas Stars' most consistent goal scorer from the Four Nations break on, and also in the postseason. So Jason Robertson is 100% healthy. He looks faster. He's been training at a different level in this offseason. And I think Jason Robertson, the expectations is that I don't think the Stars are going to have a 100-point scorer this year because it's not the way Glenn Gulletson has this team ready to play. But Jason Robertson and Mikko Rantanen should be 1-2 in scoring this year if things go the way the Dallas Stars expected. Maybe with Mikko being 1, Jason Robertson being 2. But the expectation is that Jason Robertson is going to play like he played when the Stars had him at 109 points in the season. That is the expectation.
What do you think Jake Ottinger needs to do this year?
Jake Ottinger needs to win in the playoffs this year. That's simple as that. I mean, Jake Ottinger took a lot of abuse for, what happened in the postseason against Edmonton, starting from Pete DeBoer on down. But Jake Ottinger has goals for himself, and his first goal is to make the U.S. Olympic team and be a starter. He wants to be, I know you Canadians are sick of hearing this, he wants to be the next Jim Craig. He wants to lead the U.S. to a gold medal in the Olympics. And then he wants the next step, and I don't think this is in order of priority, this is chronological order, he wants to win a Stanley Cup. Jake Ottinger's a great goalie. He's got to play at the highest level when it matters the most, and that's what the Stars need to see from him. Now, with Glenn Gulletson's system, probably a little more defensive than Pete DeBoer, Jake Ottinger should have better numbers at the end of this regular season than he had last year. And don't forget, last year's numbers weren't exactly chopped liver.
We know that when Connor Hellebuyck looks at the other end and sees Ottinger, Shesterkin, or somebody like that, Vasilevsky, he gets up for it. Does Jake Ottinger get up for a game like tonight?
I think so. I mean, if it's opening night, it's a big deal. And let's face it, if you want to be the opening night goalie for Team USA, the guy you've got to be better than is standing 200 feet across the ice from him. So I would expect Jake Ottinger to be at his A-game level because he wants to prove that he is the best American goalie there is right now. So you look at that and you go, well, who do I have to beat? Well, you got to beat Hellebuyck. You may have to beat Jeremy Swayman. If Thatcher Demko comes back to form, that's another guy into the mix. So Jake Ottinger tonight should be ready to go on more than one level playing against Winnipeg.
I mean, this is going to be a heck of a start for the Stars. I mean, they start off here in Winnipeg, then it's Colorado, then the Wild, then they head off to play the Canucks, the host Canucks at home. Then it's the Blues, the Kings, the Hurricanes, the Capitals, the Lightning. That's just in October, and then in November, the Panthers and the Oilers are the first two teams they play in the month of November. I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, this is the start that the Stars come off of here. It's going to be telling to see how things roll through for the rest of the year.
Well, we tried to work in the University of Manitoba, but the NHL wouldn't let us. So we tried to switch that one. But Glenn Gulletson said yesterday, and this was interesting, that he is not putting a numerical goal for this team coming into the first few games of the season. He wants to see how the team is playing with his system. Are they getting it? Are they gelling? Are the Lions where they need to be? As much as the first 10 games are a gauntlet, Glenn Gulletson said yesterday he's not looking at the beginning of the season as in wins and losses. He wants to look at this as how is the team coming together? Do they get the new defensive system? Or the line? I mean, let's face it, you put Sam Steele with Hintz and Rantanen. That's a pretty big gamble there. Is that gamble working? So he's more interested in how the team looks and is playing than actual results. That will come. Don't believe me. That will come. But the first 10 games of the season are a gauntlet. But Glenn Gulletson said he wants to see what is his team doing as compared to what is the end result. Because let's face it, if you get outshot 50-20 but you win 5 games, are you playing well? Probably not. He wants to see the overall response of the team.
Yeah, I'm really excited for him and what he can get done with the Stars. Maybe not tonight, but throughout the season. Speaking of that, specifically, Bruce, we'll leave you with this last one. What do you make of the Central Division this year and how tough it's going to be?
I honestly look at the Central Division and go, it's Colorado's in the regular season. If Colorado doesn't get injured, this team is so loaded, it's theirs to win. And then the question becomes, Minnesota, Winnipeg, Dallas, St. Louis, maybe Nashville gets into the mix. I honestly can see the Central Division going in 2 directions. I can see the Central Division being dominant and having 5 playoff teams, or I could see them just beating the hell out of each other and having 4 or 3 because it's so hard to get through it. I think Colorado has the best regular season. If you look at the roster right now, as far as injuries and talents, it's Colorado's to win. But, as you know, winning in the playoffs and winning in the regular season are 2 different things. And one thing Dallas has in their back pocket, Jim Mill is not afraid to make moves at the deadline that give his team a chance to win the Stanley Cup. He did it with Chris Tanev 2 years ago, Mikael Granlund, Mikko Rantanen last year. Jim Mill earns his pay every single time out. So if the Dallas Stars are lacking something or need something to get over the hump, you can pretty much count on Jim Mill to go out and do everything he can to get it. So regular season, whatever. Playoffs, I expect this to be an absolute just steel cage match to get to the Western Conference Final between Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg, and probably St. Louis.
Bruce LeVine, Stars radio analyst with us. Bruce, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. Take care, okay?
Thank you, boys. Thanks for having me on. I enjoyed it.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Bruce. Enjoy the game tonight.
Yeah, 204-780-6868, 204-780-6868.
That's it. That's interesting. What stood out to me there is, I know that Colorado is locked and loaded, but do you have them better than Dallas or Winnipeg?
I think that there is 3 teams in the NHL Central Division right now that are locked and loaded.
As far as the standings go, I'm not even going to make a prediction. Dallas, Colorado, and Winnipeg will all finish 1-3. Where they finish, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think it could go either way. Each team could win.
Minnesota is definitely a wild card team. I just, you know what? Minnesota might come out guns blazing like they did last year, but I don't think that they have the ability to sustain themselves throughout the season like Winnipeg, like Colorado, like Dallas.
Here's the thing with the Sam Steele on the top line. He's right. That's a question mark.
Absolutely, yeah.
But here's the lines. It's Hintz with Rantanen and Steele, Wyatt Johnston, whom I love, with Maverick Bourque.
On the third line.
No, he's on the second now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But Jason Robertson. So, look, Colorado, Dallas, Winnipeg all have a loaded top 6. Winnipeg got a question mark, but, with Perfetti healthy. Mm. But the third lines, right? So Dallas is Matt Duchene, Tyler Seguin, and Colin Blackwell is your third line. I would take that third line over Colorado's Jack Drury, Ross Colton, Victor Olofsson.
Radek Fax is your fourth line center. I mean, when you look at the defense, Esa Lindell, Miro Heiskanen, Thomas Harley, Niels Lundqvist.
To me, that's a deeper lineup than Colorado's.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Colorado's Jack Drury, Ross Colton, Victor Olofsson. I even think the Jets' third line is better than that when Lowry gets back. Mm. But their fourth line is Parker Kelly, Gavin Brindley, and Yoel Kiviranta. I do like Kiviranta, but I just think the top 6 in Colorado is unbelievable.
Yeah. It might be best in the league.
Better than the Jets because of the Jets' second line right now. Mm. But the depth of it is I lean towards Dallas and Winnipeg. So that's why it's fascinating to me.
Yeah,
But Bruce thinks Colorado is the best team.
I see Colorado as better than last year.
So do I. But I didn't think they were as good as everybody thought last year.
Correct.
I thought Dallas was better, and I thought Winnipeg was better, depth-wise especially.
And they had a great series against Dallas, right? That was anybody's one to win. It was a coin flip at the end of the day, and Dallas ended up taking it in 7. But I thought Dallas was going to take that series for the exact same reasons why I think Dallas is still a better team than Colorado. And I think the Winnipeg Jets are right there. I honestly do. Right now, if we look at where the Jets are and the injuries, I think that these two teams are probably better than them on paper. But we got to wait and see how things go.
Well, we don't know Taves, Gustafsson, Perfetti. And right now we don't know Gustafsson, Taves, Chibrikov. I'm not going to say, Colorado's top 6 compared to that is...
Yeah.
But the number 1 scoring line, 5-on-5 last year, was
they're still together.
Velarde. But I'm just saying, it's a dogfight. But I found that interesting. I think Dallas has the best team on paper.
Yeah. I've been saying that for 3 years now. I think
Colorado and Winnipeg, when Winnipeg's healthy, is evenly matched.
Let's take a break. Let's come back. Hey, we got to give away this VIP car wash from my good friends at Wash Method, 690 St. Anne's Road. Miss your chance to get your thoughts on the show today. Call the Boston Pizza Jets at Noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Boston Pizza coming for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Get a delicious made inside and ice cold drink for only $15. Only at BP. Hey, the Vegas Golden Knights spent some money yesterday too.
They did.
Let's talk about it when we come back.
Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Welcome back. Congratulations to Mike. He is our VIP texter. It says, it makes sense trying to send him down during the start of the season when teams have their roster already in place, in reference to David Gustafsson. This will allow the Jets to send the waiver-exempt guys down whenever the other players are ready to come back without losing anyone. So,
Unless he's picked up.
yes, which is always the risk, right? That's always the risk. Jack Eichel. So thanks a lot for that text message, Mike. Jack Eichel, yesterday after Kyle Connor, the Golden Knights just couldn't let the Jets just have a little while to be the number one story.
Well, the Knights have been bothering us for a long
time. Jack Eichel signed
Since inception.
an 8-year deal worth $13.5 million. What are your thoughts on this? So what do you think about the Golden Knights this season?
Well, let me present it to you this way. Jack Eichel's a center. He's going to get more than Kyle Connor's centers do. 13.5 over 8 years is what he got?
Correct.
And you're telling me Mark Scheifele at 8.5, even 2 years ago, wouldn't have got 9.5, 10 on the open market?
I would think so.
I know
yeah.
you're not telling me that, but some people have.
Some people might. Some people might say stuff like that, Jim Toth.
And this is before the cap went up, but I think he would have got 9.5 or 10 million on the open market. So, I mean, it's not the $7 to $8 million haircut Connor McDavid took, but Mark Scheifele did the same thing in a smaller fashion. I don't know, like 28 years old, I think you do this, right? Like he had 94 points in 77 games last year. He's always been around the last 3 years in Vegas, a point a game per player.
Yeah.
His first year, he only played 34 games, but he had 25 points. But the year they won the Stanley Cup, he had 66 points in 67 games, 26 points in 22 playoff games on road to that Cup.
That was the year where he really came into his own.
Well, he got the surgery that Buffalo, and then he opted for it.
What a mistake.
But I think he really came into his own last year. He had 68 points in 63 games 2 seasons ago, but last year, in 77 games, he had 94 points. They bring in Mitch Marner. Those two guys looked great together last night. $13.5 million for your number one center. Again, $13.5 million for your number one center for the next 8 years. The Jets have theirs at 8.5 for the next 6 years, 7? 7.
6 years after. Well, this year, then 5 more.
So I don't know. It's steep, man. I don't know if I wouldn't have tried to ask for a discount there. That's what centers are going to go for, $13.5 million. I'm not begrudging that, but if I just gave Marner 12, I'm asking for a little.
Jim Toth, it's game day. Pre-game starts at 5, puck drop at 7 o'clock. Jets, Stars.
The Hart Trophy is in town, and I don't normally do this, but I don't know when you're going to see the Hart Trophy and get a picture with it ever again.
Yeah.
Literally ever again.
Yeah.
Now, if he does it again this year, maybe next year you can, but
I don't think
you know
so.
what I'm saying? Like the Vezna's been here 3 times now.
Yeah, it's going to be here every
year.
year.
But the Hart Trophy is something if you want to get to the game.
Absolutely. Great point there, Jim. That's it for me. Hey, Free For All Friday. We'll break down the game.
Free for all!
Looking forward to it.
Cam, it's game day.
See ya.